Yo, what is up, dudes? There you are. So I wanted to come on and show you this. This is actually a pretty rare bass. These came out the same year that Ibanez had switched over to the whole, new shape, new body shape, new headstock. Actually, this headstock had been around for a couple of years, but we associated with that new run. Really came out with the Pro line. But, binding on the neck, the amazing body. The problem with this particular bass is that it's just way too rough. These are actually pretty rare. These weren't a particularly good seller, and so it's a little tricky to find them out there. I would keep it, but as you can see in this camera here, the damage on the body is pretty extensive. Looks like someone was chewing on it up here. The back is just as bad. You see that? Look, the whole console here, you can see it right there, is kind of crushed in, right? Which you see on guitars and basses that have taken, serious falls. So, if it was in better condition, I might keep it. It also has a lot of fret work that needs to be done. These frets need to be completely leveled and crowned again. The person who owned the bass before really loved the key of E, as demonstrated by a lot of the E notes, little meow meow, like a fretless. So, unfortunately, my search for a bass will continue. It was not very expensive. That's kind of the reason. I was like, oh, it's cheap, a few $100s. But you can get a lot of made in Japan basses for a few $100s. So, it wasn't that much of a unicorn. But these are a particularly rare bass. It's a PJ system. With a couple of active tones, and there is a battery compartment on the back. See it right there. Yeah, there you are. You can see the battery compartment. And again, just one of the other things that sort of hurt it, as you can see right here, there's a lot of denting going on in the finish. I don't know what the person was hitting or leaning it against something. I think they were leaning it against something, and it just built a lot of scarring up here. I could fix that with some glue, right? Some CA super glue. But why? Again, I can get a guitar, a bass that's almost dead mint from around the same period, also made in Japan, for about what I paid for this, maybe even a little less. I think they got a little bit more because they looked at this and they're like, oh, we don't see a lot of these. A bit of an oddball, but just condition-wise, it's not enough to keep it, sadly. This is, let me give you just a few specs about this, if you're curious. This is the RD828LE, the limited edition. It was a 4-string bass, available in lipstick red. It was discontinued after 1990. They made a few different ones. You got to look up the knob placement to get the correct one, but this is the 828LE. It was available in black, obviously, this is it. A coral mist, which was actually a pretty common color. But that might have only been available in the European market. A lipstick red, a violet pearl, which that piqued my curiosity because I have a violet pearl, Ibanez RG560. So just to get the matching bass would be kind of cool. Again, it sounds pretty rare, in white. I suspect the black and the white, mostly the black, was probably the biggest seller. And the fretboards on these are all over the place. This is a kind of a dark one. They're rosewood. You see them actually pretty light as well. It just depends. This looks and feels more like a 700 series guitar than a 500 series. The shark tooth inlay, the binding on the neck and headstock, that screams RG 750, 760, 770 to me all day. So I think this was really the companion for the 700 series, really, than the 500 series. But, you know, Ibanez was sort of all over the place. They had this new line of guitars coming out, and they didn't know what to do. They found out that these weren't, I think, quite the seller that the other, products were, the other basses in the lineup. And Ibanez made a lot of basses. We had one in the store one time. I could probably find one where the headstock was so small. This is not headless. It has a headstock and it has tuners, but it's so small they can't get the logo on there. So they put the logo on the body. Sure. Kind of cool. Again, let me show you the back. Right there. Maybe right down here. You see it's a 3-piece maple neck. And if you know anything about Ibanez, you know that badge right there, that's your badge of authenticity to being OG, right? That means this is the original year, because they didn't have the silk screens ready. My original Ibanez has the badge on the back, the silver badge. They had to print out the badges and affix those because they didn't have the silk screening ready to apply the silk screen to the back of the headstock. So they badged it instead. Famously, infamously. Like I said, it's got problems. You know, I am sure I could find almost any other bass and get a better working bass out of this. Also, the condition of the bridge was pretty bad. You know, it would definitely need to be completely pulled apart, cleaned, oiled, put all back. It's just too much work. I can get a nearly perfect bass for around what I paid for this, quite frankly, even less. You know, because Ibanez, I don't know why, but Ibanez MIJ basses, you can score them for short money. Just out of style, too many of them, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, ow, ow. I mean, it's not a terrible sounding bass, but it's not a great playing bass. It's a little, meow, 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 like meow, meow, meow. It's like it's Jaco Pastorius. He's playing a fretted bass. So the search continues. I'm going to return this pretty much when this video is over, probably before the video is released. So by the time you see this video, it'll already be returned to Guitar Center. And, you know, I would encourage you to do the same thing. If you get a guitar or a bass or anything, a set of drums, a keyboard, and you're not thrilled with it, send it back. Return it, if you have the ability to do that. Guitar Center has a 45-day return period. But, you know, if it's not working out for you, return it. Don't get stuck with a guitar or a bass. You can talk yourself into, you know, I can fix this, I can work on it, and you probably can, right, to some degree. But I think something like this, it's just so easily replaced with a damn near perfect one for around the same money. The only reason I bought this was because, one, you know, the photographs didn't really show the body that well. It's kind of the curse of the black body. Yeah, it sort of hides in the photographs a lot of the damage, especially like if I look in this camera here, you'd say, oh, that doesn't look too bad. But then you turn it and you're like, oh, no, wait. now that I see the specular highlights, you know. But when it's like right about like right there, you're like, oh, no, it's fine. Looks pretty good, right? And I think, right, like right now up here, you're like, oh, what? That's not so bad. And it's not good at all. So I think it was sort of the same thing. And I just took a chance on it. And I will almost certainly eat the shipping on it, because this was what I call a try it out at home deal. So if you buy something usually and you just don't like it, you usually have to eat the shipping. And I knew that when I bought it. I said, you know what, I'm going to pay, it's going to be about $22-23 in shipping. But I don't care. You know, I'd rather take the chance. If it worked out, I would have a pretty rare and kind of cool bass from the OG, you know, RG period, right? Instead of RG, it's RD, right? RD, yeah, 828 LE. So I would have this like pretty cool, you know, matching guitar to some of my OG Ibanez guitars. But sadly, the condition is it's just too beat up. You know, it's just got too many battle scars on it. And if it was beat up and it didn't need the fretwork, the frets are heavily divoted. That's why it's sounding. That's why it's sounding like a fretless. Not every note. That's fine. That's fine. That guy never played an F in his life. like the E notes. This one in meow, 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 meow. It's like a cat bass. a lot of meowing going on. Yeah, it just didn't work out. So you know what? You take a chance. Yeah, you give it a try. It didn't work out. Oh well, it's okay. It's okay. That's the whole point. You know, you just give it you give it a check. You give it a test. You give it a try. And it didn't work out. So my search continues. I'll find one, and I'll bring this back today. So there you go. All right, dudes. The Ibanez OG. This is 87 serial number, so that would put this at market in 88. Maybe at the very, very end of 87, right around Christmas. But certainly by 88. This is something that we would have pulled out of the, you know, we got that huge order from Ibanez in February of 88 with a whole new lineup. This would have been in that lineup. I took a look back at some of the old footage. We had Paul Gilbert come in, and we put all the Ibanez guitars and basses behind him. And it's one of the few photos I have, you know, of the store from back then. And I was looking for one of these basses, but there's not one back. All the other basses are there. The Fountain Blues and all those, you know, the RD800s, you know, and all that. But not, RD800. But not this particular one. This is kind of rare. Kind of rare. A little bit. No, a little bit. A little bit. I need to find one in Violet Pearl, though. Or the red. I bet both of those would look pretty sick. All right, dudes, there you have it. RD828LE. This is a 1988 version I'm going with. And a bass you probably never knew about. I didn't even know about it. I was like, really? They made one of those? Huh, I don't remember them. We probably never got one in. Because my boss was like, I don't know. I don't get a good feeling that one's going to sell. All right, dudes, there you have it. As always, thanks so much for hanging out. And rock on.